What is up, everybody? This is Matt, the host of the Jammies. Today, we're going over my year in review, first half from January 2025 all the way to June of 2025. So many albums to talk about, a bunch of artists to rehash and go through, and a long list of singles for you guys to dive into. All that and a whole lot more coming up right after this. Let's get into episode 13 of the Jammies. What is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode number 13 of the Jammies. It's the year in review time. We're sitting here, we are not. I am sitting here on November 24th of 2025, just a few days from Thanksgiving, and just a few days from when this episode drops, which is going to be on the 28th of November, the day after Thanksgiving. Some might say that is a great way to kill an episode of a podcast, but I hope that at least a couple people are able to check out this one, even though it's between busy seasons of holidays and whatnot. But when it comes to the end of the year and when it comes to the Jammies, it's actually where it all started. It's where it all began, was last year in December. I recorded the first ever episode, and it was all of my 2024 music in review. So here we are a year later. It's time to get retrospective, y'all. And we are going to dive into our January 2025 through June 2025. So this episode specifically will just be covering the first half of the year. I am hoping to have the second half of my year in review out sometime in December. I do usually try to drop the episodes on the last Friday of every month, and we've been doing very good with that so far. The episodes for the end of the year might be a little bit more scrambled though, so I do recommend hitting that follow button. It's going to notify you when new episodes come out. Again, we got this year in review, part 1, January through June of 2025. We have the second half coming up, and it's going to be released. I'm hoping to release it on December 19th, Friday, December 19th there. And then the Jammies Awards, year 2, because we actually did do the Jammies Awards in 2024. I'm thinking that's going to be out early January. I'd like to get it out early so that I can kind of pivot and start focusing on 2026 music and finding a whole bunch of good stuff there. Again, the Jammies Awards, it's going to be a bunch of nominees, a bunch of different categories, and we're going to have a good time with it. So look forward to that one in January. But again, these next 3 episodes, or I should say the next 2 episodes, will be more along the lines of they don't hit on the exact last Friday of every month. So keep a lookout for them, or just hit that follow button and you'll be notified. So yeah, I guess I just jumped right into housekeeping basically, but I do want to say just happy holidays to everybody. Hopefully you had a great Thanksgiving, got to watch some excellent football games, maybe they weren't even close, who knows. But yeah, I appreciate you guys listening in and listening through the year. In this episode, I have quite a bit to go through, so what I will say about it is I'm going to try to just keep everything a little bit more top level, recommend maybe like 2 to 3 songs per artist or per album or EP. And that's going to be tough on me because you guys know I like to recommend a lot of music. It's hard for me to just be like, oh yeah, just check out these 2 songs, even though I'm like, I love the whole fucking album. But hey, here we are, trying to keep it a little bit maintained, keep myself put together. And speaking of being put together, all of the Jammies playlists are put together. These are specific Spotify playlists for every episode of the Jammies. It's going to have every single song that was recommended during the episode, and these go all the way back to the very first episode of the Jammies, all the way through. We're going to have 13 episodes now, and we're going to have a Spotify playlist for every single one of them. So if you don't want to have to search every single artist that sounded like a good vibe for you, just go to that description below, click on the link to the Spotify playlist. And even if you don't use Spotify, all you need to do is have a login. You don't have to have their paid subscription. You can just shuffle through the playlist and check it out from there. Again, that is in the description, as well as my link tree is in the description. That link tree link, it's going to basically help you locate anything that the Jammies is working on, from social media to the playlists themselves, to maybe even merch, if you wanted to check out, grab a hat or a t-shirt, Jammies logo on it. And it also links you to the podcast themselves. Again, links in the description for those ones. Another little bit of housekeeping. Episodes have timestamps if you want to be jumping around to a new artist. If you're done with me talking about housekeeping right now, you can jump forward, get to that first artist that we talk about. All the episodes have timestamps, so definitely feel free to move to where you need to or jump back in. And lastly, if you have been enjoying any of the music that has been recommended to you, if you've been enjoying the Jammies in general, or if you even have recommendations for us, or if you want your music showcased right here on the Jammies, we've been able to have a showcase in an episode, 5 different episodes out of the 13. So really awesome for the first year. We had a lot of good collaborations with a couple of great artists, and looking forward to seeing where we can take that next year. Hey everybody, editing Matt here. I realized that this whole call to action about the showcasing and whatnot never actually specified what it was about. So just reach out via email, hit me up if you wanted any of your music on the show, if you had any recommendations for the show, or if you've been enjoying it. That's thejamieshow@gmail.com. All right, back to it. So I think that is plenty of housekeeping. I appreciate you guys always making it through that, sticking with me through it. So let's get into the long list of stuff that we have to talk about with the year in review. We're going to be going somewhat chronologically. Again, I'm only going to be trying to recommend maybe like 2 or 3 songs, just try to keep it to a smaller limit for all these different artists and all these different recommendations that we're going to be going through. Not only did I cycle through and curate and find only the artists that I truly loved and wanted to share, but even with that, I mean, like, we still talked about probably over 170 artists. I am counting the numbers. It'll be a part of the Jammies Awards. We talked about, for sure, over 150 artists this year when it comes to singles, EPs, albums, and just brand new artists jumping, deep diving through all their music. Pretty damn high number. So I really had to cut down. I had to cut back, and I'm going to be mentioning maybe a project or 2 or maybe an artist or 2 for each month out of January through June here. So let's get into it. And in the episode that I talked about, Margot Sinclair, they were the band that I was honestly like most excited to talk about, and I kind of had energy levels spiking when I got to talk about the 2 bands that I will mention for January of 2025, and that is Margot Sinclair and the Stews. Yes, we got to talk about the Stews, baby. So Margot Sinclair, this is that Strokesy band. They got good Strokes vibes and songs like Elizabeth of Bohemia, Sweet Relief, those ones. Definitely, if you like the Strokes and you haven't listened to Margot Sinclair, that is my top level of kind of, here's how I'm going to recommend them. They have about 10 songs out. They've released 3 different songs in 2025. All 3 are great. That's Elizabeth of Bohemia, Jealousy, and Lonely Jester. Lonely Jester, shout out to the top. Potentially my favorite song by Margot Sinclair, and that one has been treating me real well all year, maybe even in the Song of the Year discussions for me so far for the Jammies Awards. I'm already just going to break this rule of like recommending 2 to 3 songs, but my top songs by Margot Sinclair are Lonely Jester, as we mentioned, Elizabeth of Bohemia, Sweet Relief, and Jade. Those are 4, I know. We'll see how many times I do that, but happy to hear and happy to see that Margot Sinclair, when I first started listening to them in January, they were around like 6,800 monthly listeners, and the last time I checked, they're up to 52,000. So good for Margot Sinclair. Very happy for them. They're making just incredible rock music, so keep up the great work, Margot Sinclair. Up next, we mentioned it, we're going to be talking about the Stews, and the Stews was a great find in January. Man, I was stoked when I stumbled into the Stews because they had already had 2 albums and an EP out, so there was so much music to get through, and there was so much great music to get through. This is that sort of like rock ballady band that I mentioned back in January. They honestly have some of like the best guitar solos that I've heard all year. They have some really awesome slow hard rock songs out there that are maybe 5-6 minutes. They jam a couple guitar solos. They all play together really well. The singer is able to just hold a note for a ridiculously long amount of time and just sound so great while all the other music and all the other instruments are playing out. So top songs for the Stews. I'm going to just mention one song from each different project that they have out. So Make It Out is on their original EP, just called The Stews. Then I'm going to recommend the song Too Much to Lose off of their first album, and the song So Cold off of their second and their latest album. That is the Stews. I'm not going to mention this every time, but when I started listening to the Stews, they were around 88,000. They are up to 265,000 monthly listeners since the last time I checked. So good for Margot Sinclair, good for the Stews. Happy for you guys. Keep on rocking, keep on jamming. and let's move into February. Alrighty, so back in 2024, during that year in review, I mentioned hopefully we'll have a lot more Old Mervs and Rum Jungle to talk about with upcoming albums in 2025, and we talked all about them. We mentioned them many a times throughout the Jamie's history so far, and time to talk about them even more, because Rum Jungle had their debut album, Recency Bias. So Recency Bias by Rum Jungle, this one came out February 20th of 2025, and it was one that we were definitely excited about. The album, it's called Recency Bias, but it has been out for about 10 months now, and I can say this album absolutely still rips. I still love it. I would highly rate it. I would recommend it to anybody that was looking for some great new rock music, and it isn't just because it's brand new, so there is no recency bias here. This album, Recency Bias, is top-notch. Really love it from Rum Jungle. And it's honestly one of my personal favorite albums of this year. Great songs from front to back on it. I really love the album artwork on this one. It's kind of bizarre, but I like it. You know, they have reminded me of Cagey Elephant at times, and just this artwork on their album cover reminds me a little bit of Cage. The deluxe album actually added a couple of good songs as well. One specifically, It's All On Your Mind, and then they had the song Did the Morning Let You Down, released previously, but it made it onto the deluxe album. I still just can't believe that they didn't include the song She Only Spoke Through Music, which I am still vouching should have been on the deluxe album. I love that song. It deserves to be more than just, it was kind of like a hidden single. They released a single and it was like a secondary song on that single. I don't know if many people have heard it, but it's a slow one. I really love it. But I'll get off that soapbox and talk about my favorites off the album, which I think are still going to be the song What's It Like and the song Backwards. What's It Like came out right before the album came out, and oh my goodness, did I love that one. And still to this day, absolutely loving it. The song Backwards is potentially a song of the year as well this year. It's definitely going to be potentially nominated, but again, this whole project, Recency Bias, it has been hitting me all year. And honestly, it is the first thing that I went back to when I got to start this retrospective for episode 13 here. I was like, where do I want to begin? Yes, Recency Bias. Let's get back into it. Let's jump in. Because a lot of these artists and songs, I just, I had to get the content ready for the month. And then once the month was over, I was on to trying to find new music and like having to take time away from stuff like this, like full albums that I already talked about. So it was very nice to get back to all this great music that we're going to be talking about. And let's jump to the next one. And we are moving right along into March of 2025. And the biggest two things to talk about in March for me, Colorado's on Fire Again by Richie Mitch and the Coal Miners, and the Old Mervs debut album, self-titled Old Mervs. So you guys knew we'd be talking about both these bands again, right? Of course we are, because Richie Mitch and the Coal Miners and Old Mervs, they're some of my top artists of all time, really. And Richie Mitch, brand new album, their first album since 2019, actually. This one was called Colorado's on Fire Again. Again, it released March 7th of 2025. And we had a great time. We, as in me and my wife, we had a great time listening to this one. We were on our honeymoon when the album actually dropped, and we got to listen to it for the first time on our Airbnb there. And I have not stopped listening to this one since. When I have a little bit of extra time, I feel like it's definitely one of these two albums I've been queuing up all the way through the year, was either Colorado's on Fire Again or the Old Mervs album that we'll talk about next. I love me some Barry Herman. Barry Herman is the starting song on the album Colorado's on Fire Again. I think every song on the album is great though, but to be fair, I love like 98% of the songs that RMCM release. So I guess take it with a grain of salt, but again, if you have been enjoying the music recommendations that I have, especially in the indie folk scene, if you haven't checked out Richie Mitch and the Coal Miners yet, give them a chance, give them a couple of chances, and I think that again, if you have some similar taste to me, I can definitely see you falling in love with RMCM as I have. The top songs on this album, Colorado's on Fire Again, thinking we'll go Santiago, For the Jets, Talons, and El Imponderable. Those are top four, but I can't stress it enough. I love this whole album. I'm more so thinking about what songs to recommend to somebody who maybe just wants to try out a few songs from the album, get an idea of what it is, and I think those are probably where it's at for a couple songs to check out by Richie Mitch and this specific album. There's something about Richie Mitch and the Coal Miners that it just works for my brain. Like, I'm not saying it's gonna be everybody's favorite band, but I feel like if you like some chill music, again, if you like kind of my music taste so far throughout the year, give RMCM just a couple chances. This album's definitely a decent starting point. It's pretty upbeat. It's pretty fast paced. It has good stuff going on all the way throughout it. I had mentioned earlier in the year, if you need a more upbeat and like jammy album to start with, you can definitely check out their album Subliming from 2019. And I think that's still going to be the best place to start for Richie Mitch and the Coal Miners. And don't you worry, we will be talking even more Richie Mitch next episode in the part 2 of the year in review, because those madmen, they decided to release another album. So we'll be talking about No Silent Monks a little bit later on in the year and in the next episode of the Jammies. So something else to look forward to. But for now, let's talk Old Mervs. You guys know I love talking about Old Mervs. They have been mentioned, possibly one of the most mentioned artists on the entire show thus far. And for good reason, man. I love Old Mervs. We got to see Old Mervs live in Minnesota. 7th Street Entry. It was a great little venue. Was very much just like, it was about the music, not a whole lot else. Like, there was one guy serving drinks at, I guess you could call it a bar, but like there's no bar seating. It's like, it's all faced at the music. There's a big floor to go stand down. It's a small building, and it's just so specifically like built for the musical experience and like being at a live show. It was a great spot to see Old Mervs, and we also got to meet Old Mervs, and that was definitely one of the highlights of the year. I mean, these guys are great 2 guys, just traveling all the way from Australia and ending up 4 hours away from me, and we had to make the trip. We made it work, and we're definitely happy we got to go see Old Mervs in person, got to meet Old Mervs in person. And Dave and Henry, they are some, what do they say in Australia? Like great, like chaps? Is that? Probably not. What do you call like a good friend in Australia? A mate. Yeah, right? I'm not going to do an Australian accent. And I already said chaps, which I think is more like British, right? I am just, I'm a sheltered young man. I don't know what to say. Anyways, Old Mervs, debut album. Every time I talk about Old Mervs, man, I get a little loopy. So let's jump into the album. And I gotta say, the Old Mervs album is one of my favorite of the year. And the first 6 songs collectively are potentially like one of the best starts to an album that I've ever heard. I feel like there's definitely this sweet spot being between the song What You've Lost, Best I Know, Forget It, and Waiting. Those 4 songs just hit back to back to back to back. And one of the best 4-song stretches that I can think of. And I actually have a little list together of, stretches on an album that they never break out of being incredible. Only by the Night by Kings of Leon, I think, is the longest stretch that I think I've found that I'm like, oh yeah, every song on the album, I'd listen to it any day of the week. Old Mervs, I'd listen to any song on this album any day of the week for sure, but there is absolutely a sweet spot of, man, if I need to recommend 4 songs by Old Mervs, I would just be like, yep, go check out songs 2 through 6 on the album Old Mervs. Like, and there you go. So anyways, this album is everything that I could have hoped for from Old Mervs and then some. Not only they had their 2 best singles out in What You've Lost and Forget It that made it onto this album, but then smack dab in the middle of it is one of my favorite songs of the year. I remember hearing it for the first time, damn near wanting to cry, and then being like, okay, yeah, this is immediately like in the running for song of the year. So that's the song Best I Know. But if you haven't heard What You've Lost or Forget It, or even the song Waiting, those ones are all on this album. They're all fantastic. And you got the song Steady ends the album. Really solid closer there too. So yeah, man, Old Mervs, they'll forever be a part of this little music journal that I have going with the Jammies. They'll forever be a band that I love, especially just being able to meet them before they blow up too, because I mean they're only going to get bigger and bigger. Old Mervs had a single with Flip Turn that they were featured in a song called Burnout Days. I think it's sky's the limit for Old Mervs and Henry and Dave, so good for them, happy for them, and let's move into April. And into April we go, and we'll be talking about a lot more just specific artists, but we're actually going to be talking about a 3rd straight album because Arcy Drive had their debut album called The Pit drop in April, and man, we were so looking forward to Arcy Drive. I mean, come on. It was so many new Arcy Drive songs all at once, more than I've ever had before. Even before like stumbling onto them, they only had maybe like 9 songs out. This was like a fresh 12 or however many was on the album, so The Pit by Arcy Drive. We talked a lot about it. We talked multiple times on different episodes this year about it, but bringing it up in the year in review, of course I'm going to be bringing it up. It's Arcy Drive, damn it. We are going to be talking about their top songs on this album, and I gotta say, months later, after this one came out, like Under the Rug, it was a single before the album came out. They decided to start the album with it, and That's an incredible choice. Like, it's just hits so damn hard. Like, I feel like Under the Rug just kicks the damn door down. And then after that, I mean, there's a couple of ones that like slow it down before you pick back up a little bit. There's good rock, there's good acoustics, there's good like folk tones throughout the entire album. And while Under the Rug is like heavy hitter rock song, they definitely mix in a lot of fun folk songs and some really solid work throughout this album. So I really love the full album. I do feel like once you get to the song Lights Fall, which is the 7th song on the album, I feel like that really starts a run of great songs that last all the way to the end of the album. Like, there's those 2 good folky fun ones in the songs Over the Hill and Oak Tree parentheses Daydream, and then Creatures of the Night. This is like one of my favorite closing songs on an album. It's technically not the closing song. There is one more after it. Would have been a great, like, man, they just play themselves out perfectly. I'm not going to be upset that Arcy Drive released a song called Swimming to end their album. Anyways, long rant for, like all in all, it's an amazing thing to have 12 brand new songs all at once from Arcy Drive, and they definitely landed the plane great with their first album. Congrats to Arcy Drive. They have been just popping up everywhere, blowing up, and becoming, I feel like, one of the biggest indie rock bands out there. So good on them. Looking forward to what 2026 brings, but forever happy that we have the Pit album, always to go back to, by Arcy Drive. All right, we are going to be sticking with some April music here, and in April, I got to deep dive into the artist Brenn, if you remember, Brenn, exclamation point. Little joke from a little callback to an older episode. So when I first stumbled on the Brenn, it was before the podcast actually existed. I had heard the song called Jesus Song, parentheses County Line, and really liking that one, saving it. Again, that was back before the Jammies was even in existence. So I knew I wanted to check out more of his music, but at the time I just didn't really give all these artists like all these deep dives necessarily. So come April, I got a chance to check out more of his music. At the time, I had heard, again, that Jesus song and the song Forerunner. And once I got into his catalog of music, all I had to say was, wow, blew me away. Again, I talked about him. He was one of the main artists that we talked about back on an earlier episode this year. His catalog was great back then to dive through, and it got even better later in 2025 when he released his EP called Upstate. That was released May 23rd of this year. Upstate. It carried some great pre-release songs like Days on End and Franklin House, and it added some amazing new ones as well. Just getting to listen to more Brenn, like, again, it's just been a treat. With how many like amazing folk and country artists that I've been able to deep dive into this year, like, I feel like it's a pretty large sentiment to be like still talking about him and still just digging his music like months and months later. Like, I have nothing but good things to say about Brenn. He'd be pretty high up in terms of artists that I recommend in this space, this folk, maybe like leaning slightly into folk country. He's fantastic lyrically. He really just knows how to belt his voice and carry it through some really powerful songs. I'd say the top songs to check out from Brenn are going to be, well, actually a brand new one called Footing. This actually released November 14th. Footing is a pretty great song. I'd like to at least include it in the Jammies playlist here, so it'll be there. But the 2 from early in the year that really always hit, they haven't let go, are the song Days on End and the song Natural Disaster. Both those ones made it onto the Upstate EP, and Brenn actually did a cool thing this year. He released a record that was both of his EPs that he has out, and like each EP was on one side of the record. So I think more artists, if they're able to do this, I think it's a great idea. Vision Arcade, actually, we'll be talking about Vision Arcade a little bit later, but Vision Arcade, they actually did this with their 2 EPs that they had about 5 or 6 songs on each side of the record. I think it's a great call for indie bands that are able to release EPs. If they can just even do like a small printing of vinyls, it at least, I mean, they sold me on it. Immediately I pre-ordered both Brenn's and Vision Arcades. But anyways, that is Brenn. Hopefully not the last time that I get to make that little bit. But yeah, that's Brenn. And we're moving right along to another guy that gets a shout out. Michael Marcagi. We talked about him in the same episode that we were bringing up Brenn for the first time. And it's just another great folk artist with a great voice. Like Michael Marcagi and Brenn mixing together at the same time just really allowed like all of April and May to just kind of fit that vibe of like spring, summertime. Like it just fell right in line. Michael Marcagi. A little bit less to say for it, but top songs are going to be the song Scared to Start, the song Follows You. Scared to Start was on the wedding playlist, and it still works for me over a year later now. So that is Michael Marcagi. And we are going to be moving right into my May of 2025. And this one continued that streak of outstanding, powerful, hard-hitting voices in the indie folk space. And we're talking Bo Stallo next. Bo is Bostalloch. So Bo Stallo. Like, these lists make me feel like I could do an artist of the year for each genre, because like there's just so many people making incredible music out there. And Bo Stallo is definitely one of my favorite artists that I've come across in 2025. Again, we have a list of over 150 artists that we've talked about even on here, and he's definitely up there in terms of so thankful to have found Bo Stallo this year. Great music. Like, he makes beautiful, creative, emotional music. He's got a great singing voice, and like when he turns it up, like during the climaxes of the song, like his voice just really shines. And two of which that you can see and maybe hear it. Two of the songs that I recommend top level, the song Give It a Break, which was off of his new EP that came out this year, and then the song Wait It Out, which was a single from a little bit longer ago. But Give It a Break and Wait It Out, they'll be on the Jamie's playlist, and that's just a small helping of how much great music Bo Stallo has out there. If you like that, go check out a little bit more from Bo Stallo. A small mention to the album that we didn't really get to talk about actually this year, but I do want to bring it up now because it actually grew on me the more times I listened to it. And a little bit later in the year, I was like, you know what? This one actually has a lot of good stuff. And this is the album If It Makes Sense by Spacey Jane. This one came out May 9th. And again, it maybe got a little overshadowed on the Jamie's episode. Like, I never really came back to it. I said that we were listening to it. I said the saucy singles, there was the ILY the most, that's I Love You the Most on this album. But again, it's a really solid album from front to back. Best songs on it: Through My Teeth, How to Kill Houseplants, and ILY the Most, I Love You the Most. That is just a quick shout out to If It Makes Sense by Spacey Jane, which I think does deserve a little bit more of a shout out from the Jamies. Moving into June, we mentioned Vision Arcade just not too long ago. June was filled with two pretty incredible new artist finds, one of which was Vision Arcade. Vision Arcade, really clean singer. Their music just like packs a punch with the guitar, the drummer, and the bassist. Like, it packs a punch, but it's also like chill and vibey at the same time. Again, like I've said a couple times this episode, but we're going over my favorite stuff from this year, and Vision Arcade's definitely one of my favorite artists that I've stumbled onto this year. And again, I'm very thankful to have found Vision Arcade because I had hit on so many straight indie folk artists, and there was nothing wrong with that, but to get a new indie rock band and one that just every single song hit for me, I was stoked. I remain to be, and I know that big things are coming for Vision Arcade because they just make phenomenal music. Top songs, again, it's hard for me to pick with these guys, but ones to get like a good overall experience from Vision Arcade, probably the song Lone Star, I believe is still their number one song on Spotify. The song She Ain't About It actually opens one of their EPs, and we have the song Eyes, which is on their first EP, and this one, man, listen to Eyes on some good speakers and you'll see exactly why I love Vision Arcade. All right, we are wrapping up June 2025 year in review, and we are wrapping up all of the specific artists and albums that I'll be mentioning, but we got to close it out June with the mention of Nikki and the Barn Boys. Nikki, Nikki, and the Barn Boys. This one was one that I stumbled into their EP. I think their EP was actually recommended to me on Spotify. The EP is called Where Do We Go From Here? Again, it came out this year. It's got 4 songs. I love all 4 songs. My favorite 2 are the songs Fall In and Drowning. After hearing this EP, I was like, you know what? Nikki and the Barn Boys, the EP hit. Every single artist, I've made the joke before on here, but every single artist that has a longer name, and specifically a longer name that has the word "and" in it. I think I said back on the episode that I talked about Nikki and the Barn Boys, I was like, I feel like it's like a 90% hit rate. And here we are, Nikki and the Barn Boys, Richie Mitch and the Coal Miners, Axe and the Hatchet Men. You get my gist. If you got a longer name and an "and" in it, 90% hit rate. Just go click on them, check out their music. Almost always works for me, at least. So Nikki and the Barn Boys, they had that amazing EP, Where Do We Go From Here? I got a chance to deep dive into a lot more of their music, actually all their music, but they did have an They had an album that came out in 2023 that has a little bit different vibe to what the EP had this year, but definitely still had some incredible songs, especially when Nikki gets to belting it out and the whole band is just kind of jamming behind her. Nikki and the Barn Boy is definitely a great catalog of music. Some extra ones that you might find if you deep dive into them are going to be the song Drive, parentheses Push Me, 2 a.m., song Understand. There's definitely many more outside of those ones, but top level from their EP, Fallen, Drowning, and then some other ones that I really enjoy and still enjoy to this day are again Drive, parentheses Push Me, 2 a.m. and Understand. And of course, I do want to give a special shout out after I mentioned Nikki and the Barn Boys. They did interact with a TikTok that I posted about the episode and about how I was talking about them. And we had a good dialogue, had a good back and forth. And we were able to work together. And we had Sacramento, their song off of the EP, showcased right on the Jamies. That was a great moment for the show, great moment for me personally. And they're just great. They were so much fun to work with. They just seem like they're doing good things, and I know for a fact that they're destined for big things as well. They don't have the most followers in the world. They don't have the most monthly listeners in the world, but I think when people hear it and hear them for the first time, I think that they're definitely destined for big things. So Nick and the Bar Boys, I'm going to keep on shouting them out. And again, just very thankful that we were able to work together, get their music showcase on the Jammies here, and yeah, that's what I got to say on Nikki and the Barn Boys. All right, I can already feel this episode running long, and I also don't really know how to mention all of like the singles from the first half of the year that I want to talk about, because there are so many singles on this list. Like, I'm not going to be going through all of them and giving an explanation, but what I will say is that every single episode from the Jammies is timestamped. All of these songs have been mentioned in the past on those episodes, so if you want a little bit more of a deep dive, even in the Saucy Singles section of the show, I usually at least say a couple of things about each song there, try to explain it or, mention a little bit more about the band. But man, there's just there's too much to go through. I can already feel my voice kind of going. So we're just gonna list them off. I know that's not the best for content, but if you are looking to hear them and not just hear the names of them, they're gonna be all a part of that Jamie's playlist. This one is probably gonna be a very long list of songs to get through, but hey, it's a whole half of my year. It's not just a month. So, anyways, let's just call it the extended Saucy Singles run through here. And we're actually doing the rapid fire, the speed dating singles, as I like to call a section of the show as well, because we got to read them off. We can't be explaining all of them. So we got Elias Hicks and two songs that I really love by Elias Hicks this year, All the Colors I Can Be and the song Helen. Those are two great ones from Elias Hicks, another incredible folk artist that I've been able to stumble into this year. We have the song Blossom by Artaka. Artaka is now actually just named OK Blue. They haven't made any posts from OK Blue, or no songs at least, under the moniker OK Blue, but Artaka, the song Blossom, looking forward to what OK Blue has and hope they stick with that awesome indie rock. All right, next up is Aurora by the band Hall Pass. We got to talk about Hall Pass in 2024's year in review. Here we are talking about them in 2025. And actually 2025, a little bit of a quiet year for Hall Pass. Aurora was the only song that they had released until actually just this past Friday in November here. They released their second single of the year. This one's called Stressor. I definitely like Stressor. We're going to give the extra special shout out to Aurora from earlier in the year, the first half of the year. Next up, we got the song Stay / Honestly. So Stay, Honestly. This is going to be by Axe and the Hatchet Men. This one came out all the way back in January. And, man, love this one. Love me some Axe and the Hatchet Men. Next up, we got Dead or Alive by Evening Elephants. Love Evening Elephants and what they're doing there. And Dead or Alive was for sure my favorite song that they released this year. It came out as a single. They released an EP after that. And Dead or Alive made it out of that EP as well. Good stuff from Evening Elephants. Next up, we got Make It Easy by Lila's Rose. We shouted out a while ago, and the song has been blowing up. I've been seeing it, at least in the indie space, I've definitely been seeing Lila's Rose, and everybody is talking hey, keep this band in mind, and I'm right there with them. Definitely keep Lila's Rose in mind, and go check out the song Make It Easy. RMCM, one more time, Richie Mitch and the Coal Miners, they released two singles, middle of those two albums that I've been talking about so much. They released the single Downey and the single Blue Lights. Both of them are very, very good. Speaking of very, very good songs, this one was not released this year, but I did find it this year. And this is really what got me into Jonah Kagan in the first place. The song Don't You Give Up On Me Yet by Jonah Kagan is one of the best songs and most emotional songs that I've listened to all year. On to Makeup by the Bends. We got the song Modern Lady by Congress the Band. We talked about the Bends and Congress the Band early on in the year, kind of back to back there. Some newer artists. Congress the Band has released a couple more songs, and the Bends actually released an EP this year. Good new music from both those guys. We got the single Taking It Slow by Neverending Fall. This is on an album, but it's just the single song that I want to mention from Neverending Fall. I guess not the only song I want to mention. Also, by Neverending Fall, the song Slow Motion is fantastic. Here's two more for you by Dog Park. Dog Park we've talked plenty about as well this year. The song Dreamwalker was on an older EP from 2024, and a brand new single this year called Far Away From You has definitely been a jam of mine. We got Roughnecks by Briscoe. Briscoe released their album Heat of July this year, a little bit later in the year. We might be talking about them next episode. But they did have the single Roughnecks before the album came out, and really enjoyed that one. Got me excited for the album itself. We have the song Tangerine by Noah Richardson, which is what really spurred my interest in Noah Richardson. First song that I really heard and loved by Noah Richardson, and that led me to talking about Tangerine on one episode. Then I talked about the single that he released called What's Wrong. And after I released the TikTok about the song What's Wrong and Noah Richardson, he reached out, and we have really bonded, have a great partnership. We've featured his music actually twice on the show. We got to actually feature the song Stay Down, which was a brand new single at the time. And then we got to hype up his new EP that he dropped this year by showcasing a song from that EP called My Turn. So a lot of love for Noah Richardson, a lot of love for the song Tangerine. And moving right along to another person that I love in the music space, Hans Williams released not a lot of music this year. I believe he only released 2 songs this year. Both are great songs because that's all Hans Williams does is release incredible music. But the one song and the first song that came out this year was called Hold My Love. Again, that's by Hans Williams. And then he was also a part of a song he was featured in by Bebe Stockwell called Speak Too Soon. And again, he had a featured role in that song. That is all we got from Hans Williams this year, and still gonna make the cut, still gotta talk about it because, again, everything Hans Williams releases is fantastic. Listen back to 2024 Year in Review, and I'll be talking all about Hans Williams. Was all over the Jammies Awards 2024 as well, so Hans Williams, looking forward to what's coming out in 2026, man. Really looking forward to anything by you. So next up is the song May by The Stripers. The Stripers were a band that I was definitely digging in January. They hadn't necessarily popped off at that point, but they released a single later on in the year called People Talk. It was a pretty cool moment for them. They had 250,000 listens within a couple weeks. It was the first time that a song really caught fire for them. I remember reading some social media posts just about how long they had been working on it and just how special that moment was for it. And now looking at their music, they definitely have so many more monthly listeners than they did at the start of this year. So definitely happy for the Stripers. They actually released their debut album called Growing Pains November 14th. Very recent stuff there, and good for them. That is the single May by the Stripers. Gotta shout out another song from kind of December and really just first month of January. I was queuing up this song all the time, trying to tell my buddy Scott, dude, this song is incredible. If you don't like this one, I don't know. And he was like, yeah, it's good. I'm like, Scott, Sweet Nothing by the band Hotbed. Give me a reaction, damn it. And he was like, yeah, it's good. So I don't know. Check it out. It's such a good little hidden gem from this random little band called Hotbed. But check out Sweet Nothing by Hotbed. I definitely recommend it. I'll recommend that one to the day I die, damn it. Next up is the song Silver by the band Pet Rhino. Pet Rhino didn't release any music this year. This one was definitely a good song, good rock song out there by them. We got the song Build You Up by Collins Beach, which we ran through all of Collins Beach's music. We had a nice long section of the podcast talking about them in January. We have the songs Ask Your Local Server and Highly Caffeinated by The Deaders. The Deaders we also talked about in that January episode. We have the single Where I Lay by the band Movements. Movements, definitely one of my favorites, kind of like alt rock bands. And they did not release a lot of music this year, which is fine. That's all good, because they at least released the song Where I Lay, which is a great single from Movements. Last one on the list here, One of These Mornings by the band Zed's Dead. This is my one little splash of EDM here, because that one always hits. And I know that was just a long list of singles to recommend, but again, they'll be right in the Jammies playlist, so click on the description here, click on the link that says Spotify playlist, and that'll bring you right to it. Again, you don't even need a premium membership to listen to it. You can shuffle up with some ads, listen through all those great songs that have been recommended, and that is just from January to June of 2025. So that's 6 months of my music. We're going to have the next episode coming up. Again, I'm hoping to release it on December 19th, I think. Yeah, I'm hoping to have the next episode out December 19th. So next episode, we're going to have a lot more music to go through as per usual. We're going to be talking everything from July to December. We'll see if anything else comes up, but even just in the past month, I've been really trying to listen to all the music that I've found over the year. But we got some new stuff in there as well. We've had some great new singles from a couple artists that I want to mention. And we also have a really, really fantastic, like brand new artist. His name's Joshua Sloan. And he just dropped a like over an hour long album called Thinking Too Much. This one came out on October 29th. I can't get enough of that one. So we'll be talking about that one for like kind of November section of the year in review, but a little teaser for that part of it. So not all, if you've listened to every episode of the Jammies, first of all, thank you so much for doing so. But it's not going to be all recap. If you're looking for some new music, definitely are going to have some stuff to finish up that episode there. So lots to look forward to. There was so much incredible music to have in the second half of my year as well. And I feel like I really started to catch a stride for great new artists, like brand new artists for me specifically, like kind of right around that Vision Arcade in June. Like I feel like right there, it was like, all right, we moved past like all these incredible albums that we just got to mention. And I really started to like hit the stride of finding artists that, again, they've stuck with me. They have fantastic catalogs of music, and I'm looking forward to rehashing those and listening into their music just a little bit more here before I record and post for, again, hopefully December 19th, that Friday, we'll have this one out. All that being said, there is a lot more music recommendations. If you, after you go through this whole list and maybe shuffle through the Jammies playlist for this episode, I mean, we recommend even more artists throughout the year. We take deeper dives into a lot of singles and a lot of different smaller artists there. So if you're looking for even more music, we are now 13 episodes in. We have over 150 artists mentioned, so many that have been recommended. So there's always more to look into. And that's the beautiful thing about the music space right now. Anybody is able to like produce and release their own music. You don't need a record label. You don't need anything like that. People that are a whole lot more artistic than I am and a whole lot more talented are really out there making some great stuff. I'm just trying to curate through it. I'm trying to find the right stuff that works for me, and obviously hope it works for everybody out there listening too. So just a couple of things to close out with here. Again, if you have been enjoying the music recommendations, if you have music to recommend to me, or if you actually even want your music showcased right here on the Jammies, definitely reach out to me either at my email address or at any of my socials. That stuff is going to be right in the description. thejamieshow@gmail.com is going to be the email address if you want to reach out. You know, we went over all the housekeeping earlier. Again, follow the show if you want to be notified when these last couple episodes this year come out. And of course, everything in 2026, because we're going to keep the train going. Of all the projects that I work on, the Jammies is definitely one that I want to stick with, and I want to make sure that. Little weird thing about me, this is my third ever podcast. I did a podcast with 3 other friends back in college that I kind of produced and hosted a little bit there, and that one made it to 18 episodes. My second podcast that I ever did was just with one other buddy of mine, and that one made it 18 episodes, and there was never another one. So 13 episodes into the Jammies. I hate even putting it out into the ether, but you know, hopefully we're cruising well past 18 episodes and really hoping to make it through a lot of years. So we're 13 episodes into the Jammies. We're on a really good cycle of once a month here. And I've been enjoying it so much, honestly. I really want to thank everybody for checking out the Jammies this year. It's just been such a fun project for me to sing into. Like it's been so rewarding finding like just seriously so much great music. Like I can't, it's insane that I've always loved music. I've always really had my bands that I sink all the way into, I'll listen to all their albums, but to be able to just open this Pandora's box of music has been something I was like, oh yeah, I'll probably like run out of new music to talk about soon after after a couple episodes, right? No, it's literally endless. I'm stoked how much amazing music that I fully stand behind any of the music and any of the artists that I've been talking about this year. I have to cut stuff a lot of times that it's just like, I don't have enough time to like do all this and edit all this and put a TikTok out for all these different people and singles and all that I've been talking about this year. Because again, there's just amazing people out there making just fantastic art and appreciate them. But again, definitely appreciate any of the people that have been out there. If this is your first episode or if you've listened to damn near all of them, sincerely, thank you for your time. I hope you get as much out of this music and get as much out of this show as I do, Lastly, if you are looking for a good way to support the show, a couple ways to do so. Again, follow the podcast. If you want to rate the podcast on your specific podcasting source, Spotify has the little star system. I think Apple's got something similar there too. And just share the show around with like your music loving friends and family. If you think somebody, even if it's just like a coworker, an acquaintance that you talk about music a lot, maybe just, again, if you want to support the show, if you want to support me and what I'm doing here, just let them know, like send them a link, be like, hey, yeah, check out this guy. I have no idea who he is in real life, but been getting a lot of good recommendations from him or good vibes, hopefully, as well from me. Also, again, like reach out, let me know what you've been enjoying, what I could be working on for next year. Like all those things really go a long way, not only for helping me get discovered and have more listeners for the podcast, but it helps with morale as well. It helps to know that I'm not just talking to nobody. So really appreciate, again, anybody that's been out there listening. I know you guys are real. I know there's definitely a good handful of people listen to every episode. And again, I really appreciate you guys for doing so and sticking with me. And man, I'm going to probably close this show, the second half of the year in review, and I'll probably close the Jammies Awards with something similar. But again, thank you all just so much for sitting through, listening to me ramble about all this music that I love. And again, I hope that you get a lot out of it as well. That's what we got for episode 13. Year in Review Part 1 done. And look forward to the next episode, Year in Review Part 2, followed by the Jammies Awards. If that sounds terrible, I'll just keep this cut. Be looking forward to the Jammies Awards 2025, the second ever Jammies Awards, where we're going to have a whole bunch of topics, a bunch of nominees to go over. Definitely a lot of stuff that you heard about today is going to be making the cut. Look forward to all that stuff and more from the Jammies, and we'll catch you guys the next time. Thanks so much for listening again, and keep on jamming.